My name's Chris, and today we'll be showing you how to change oil for your 2015 25 horsepower Yamaha. Let's get into it. So first you're going to need a pair of gloves, an oil filter wrench 65mm with 14 flukes, a new Yamaha replacement filter, a 14mm socket, a small funnel, a ratchet, and in this case we'll be using a 6-inch ratchet extension. So today we'll be using 1.6 to 1.7 liters of 10W-30. Keep in mind this will vary depending on the environment you're using your outboard, so be sure to reference your owner's manual when deciding how much to use and what type of oil. Now we're going to go over what you need for your lower end. To start, you're going to need some Yamalube Marine Gear Case Lube. In this case we're going to be using SAE 90 80W90. We're also going to be using a 5/16 screwdriver to empty out the oil in the lower end. And last but not least, you're also going to want some paper towels and some oil absorbent towels. Make sure you guys have all of these things before you start, because no one wants to start a project and then realize they're missing something. So let's get into the video. So first we're going to put down some diapers below the outboard, that way any oil we spill will be caught by these. Next we're going to take off the cowl. So at this point you're going to need your 14mm socket, your extension, and your ratchet. So we're going to start by draining the oil out of the engine. And then once you get it loose, you don't need the ratchet or the extension anymore. You can just use the socket. And there you go. Okay, so then as we're tending to the filter, we want to put the screw back. That way the oil isn't dripping all out while we are working with the filter. Okay, and then you just want to make sure it's snug. That way we don't strip anything, because that would be a nightmare. So now we're going to change the oil filter, which is on the port or the left side of the outboard. We're going to need one of these oil towels. We're going to put it right in here. That way if any oil spills out of the filter before we're able to pull it out, it's caught by the towel. Once again, you're going to want your ratchet and your ratchet extension, and this time we'll be using the oil filter wrench. There you go. So now that you've taken off the old filter, you're now going to want your new filter. Take off the plastic. And one thing to keep in mind is, it goes for any filter change you do, you're going to want to take some oil, and you're going to want to go around the seal. And this just allows you to get it off easier when it comes time to take it off. Now we'll put the filter back on. We don't want to strip anything. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to put the new oil in. Cap that. And now we're going to go to the other side and we're going to check the dipstick. Wipe it off. Oh my gosh. Okay, and we're good. So that concludes all the work that needs to be done for the upper oil, and now we're going to do the lower end. So for the lower end, there's going to be two screws. There's going to be a lower one and an upper one. We're going to remove both of them, but first we're going to start with the lower one. So you're going to want to put your bucket underneath. That way you can catch all the oil. You're going to want a screwdriver. Now, the thing you need to keep in mind is sometimes, depending who puts them back on before you, these might be really hard to get off. So 2 things people I've seen use to assist the screwdriver in getting the screws out is either they've used vice grips on the screwdriver, and that way they're able to push with one hand and turn it with the vice grips. I've also seen a wrench being used. So if you're having trouble getting the screw out, then you can use either of those 2 options, because when you apply force to get this screw out, you need to push. That way you don't strip it, or you lower your chances of stripping it, and you need to twist. So it's kind of a push inwards and twist at the same time to get the screw out. Okay? Okay, and now we're gonna do the upper screw. Now we're gonna do the upper. This time we're gonna get a wrench because it was hard to undo last time. There you go. And now that you undo this upper one, the oil out of the lower should come out a lot faster. There you go. Okay, so one thing to notice is while you're waiting for the lower end to drain out, these screws also have seals on them. And so sometimes either you'll see that they're torn, or maybe they're tearing, or there's a little gash. You're probably gonna wanna replace them. In this case, we noticed that the lower screw doesn't actually have one at all. So we're going to put one on. Now we're going to use the lower gear case loop, and we're going to refill the lower end. So you're going to want to fill from the bottom. The reason you'd fill from the bottom and not the top is because if you fill from the top and you have the lower screw in, you could develop air bubbles. So when you fill in through the bottom and it comes out the top, and you'll know that it's completely filled. And then once you know it's coming out of the top, then you can put the top screw on. And this will help create that seal so that less comes out of the bottom when you have to put in the bottom screw. Okay, so now you have to be quick. We're gonna undo that, and then we're gonna put the lower screw in. What a mess. Okay, there we go. Okay, and so that basically about caps our video on how to do an oil change. Last thing to note is that since we just did an oil change, there is going to be oil on the lower end of the outboard, maybe even the upper end if some happen to spill over. So what you can do to reduce that pollution is by wiping down your outboard with some soapy water, and you can prevent that oil from getting into the environment. If you haven't already and you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe right there and hit the notification bell. You can check out our other videos either right here or right here. They're both pretty good in my opinion. Check both of them out, check all of them out. It's up to you. I mean, if you find it helpful, then you do you. So